Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are 4 minutes after noon, so we'll start right now. We have some great speakers that I'm really eager to hear. So we'll start. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. I'm Maya, Senior HR Consultant with H2R, and your host for today. Just a few housekeeping items. As you can see, you have been muted upon entry. So if you have a question, please use our chat or a Q&A box, and you may ask questions at any time throughout the presentation, the webinar. We are also we're also introducing a fun giveaway at the end of our webinar, so stay tuned for the live draw. We're giving away one of our free courses, online courses valued at $60. So as I said, I'm very excited to introduce you to our guest speakers today. Our lovely Margaret, people and culture coach, will kick us off with an introduction to the mindful leader. Our senior L&D consultant, Kirsten, will be speaking to us on a very trendy topic of AI and how to leverage artificial intelligence for small businesses. Jackie will be speaking to us about HR, the Sin Eaters. Very intrigued by this title, Jackie. I can't wait to hear it. And I will highlight our online course for the month and talk to you about cybersecurity. So without delaying, Margaret, over to you.
Thanks for the great introduction, Maya. All right, so before we get going into my part of the presentation on the mindful leader, I have a little request for everyone. I'd like to invite you to put down whatever might distract you from this next hour of learning. Whatever could take your focus away, make this your time today. And that's what this time can be. It can be a present, a presence, a gift to yourself. So I invite you to think on that a moment. You know, this is a time for your learning, your development. What level of attention and focus do you wish to gift to yourself today? And if you can come up with a scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 6, 1 to 20, I don't care what the numbers are, I invite you to share where you're at in the chat. So just pop a number in the chat there. Are you a 6 out of 10 for attention and focus, a 3, a 9, a 40 out of 60? Throw it in the chat there, just not to be judgy or anything like that, but really just, you know, there's no good or bad. It's just for your own awareness. So what is your awareness right now of how attentive you plan to be in this talk today? Now, if you will, and keep those numbers coming, I invite you to think and consider what one little change could you do or make right now to increase that score by 1 point? 1 point. So is it turn off your notifications? Is it close the door? Is it whatever it is, turn over the papers on your desk, whatever you can do, whatever you want to do, take this moment and do that so your commitment to your focus is even stronger. Awesome. Great. And I love that people are sharing that. Share it in the chat because we can all learn. Kick the cat off my lap. I like that. Very good, everyone. Good job. Okay. By sharing that tip, you know, it's wonderful that you're sharing your wisdom with everyone else. So that is great. All right, Maya, we'll move on to our first slide. What does science say about mindfulness? So when we're talking about mindfulness, I think there are a lot of perceptions and misperceptions sometimes about what it can mean. And really, mindfulness is being aware. Literally, it is the ability to pay attention in the moment right now. And science has been skeptical of mindfulness in the past, but recently, like in the last 20, 30 years, I'm calling that recent, positive psychology and neuroscience has really taken great leaps. And they've done lots of research, lots of scientific research about how the evidence of the incredible effects of mindfulness practice. So there's a special way that mindfulness practice works to change our brains over time, and it correlates to great results like decreased anxiety and depression, improved immune function, increased memory, attention, processing, and executive functioning, decreased cognitive decline, both as we age and when we're under stress or in very emotional times. Specific mindful practices like meditation are linked to improved health outcomes when meditation is combined with other health treatments like, heart treatment or mental health treatment or chronic pain reduction, even cancer treatments. There's some of the results around mindfulness studies show improved self-confidence, a better regulation of mood, and better sleep. And for leadership, that group of studies has taken off. And for leadership, mindfulness research shows really interesting positive effects on things like burnout, work-related stress, bias, and harassment. And I really thought that was an interesting one because mindfulness makes us more aware. We're more aware of our underlying thoughts and beliefs, and we actually can reduce bias or, unconscious bias and potential for harassment. Team dynamics improves, employee engagement, performance, and productivity improves with mindfulness, and increased creativity and innovation is another set of studies. So begs the question, how can we begin to be more mindful leaders? Well, I believe one of the tenets of mindfulness really hits home, and it's a great place to start, and that's presence, mindful leadership presence. So I invite you to take a moment now and think about a great leader, somebody you know, somebody you admire, maybe someone who helped you in your career or stepped up and taught you something or mentored you, and think about the characteristics of that leader. What did that leader do that you admired? How did they show up for you? And if you feel like doing so, share a few of those characteristics of that leader in the comments or in the chat so we can all see together what impactful leadership looks like. They probably had what we often call leadership presence. I see approachable, caring and authentic. Share more, throw in some more in there. What were there? Always put down her pen when I walked into her office. Yeah. So what we call leadership presence, which really is the ability to assume a leadership role with confidence, share ideas and opinions confidently, listen, as well as speak in ways that are persuasive and impactful. What does that look like to be truly present? In my experience and in working with leaders, present leaders do hear, see, and understand their teams and their challenges in the moment. They have this ability to tune in or laser focus on people and problems as needed. And I'm also thinking of the opposite here, right? That leader, and you've mentioned in the comments who we all know, who can't stop checking notifications on their phone, is barely able to look at us in the eye, maybe answers questions with a bit of annoyance, or doesn't take the time to understand the situation clearly because they haven't taken that moment to actually ask questions and listen. We've all been on one side of that table or the other at some time. Present leaders are aware of their own biases and beliefs and are open to learning about them. They are present to themselves and self-aware. They reserve judgment of themselves and others until it's useful and intentional. They respond with intention to what happens around them and what happens inside themselves. Great leaders can set meaningful goals, yet stay flexible and focused on the way to those goals. They paint the vision and guide the way, often from a support position, leading from the back. They are curious all the time and learn continuously. They are compassionate and kind while being effective, productive, and impactful. Great leaders know themselves well. They are emotionally savvy about what they need, and they learn what others need to be successful. They offer their vision, ideas, knowledge, and experience in ways that make others want to follow them. So they are compelling. Do these traits line up with the leader that you mentioned and the leader that you were thinking of? I'm pretty confident they will. So in my history, as I learned more about mindfulness and the science behind it, I began to see how mindfulness practice could help leaders improve their presence, increase self-awareness, increase self-confidence, ease decision making, grow empathy and compassion, improve goal setting and goal achievement, and increase and improve the quality of our collaboration and communication. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. In other words, mindful people, mindful leaders are better humans and better leaders. Um, the scientifically proven benefits of mindfulness for leaders, which then link with those studies I mentioned earlier. And Maya, you'll have some fun clicking on this. You can click the first one. Enhanced emotional intelligence is linked to a mindfulness practice. So it's better self-management, increased empathy, stronger relationships, better communication, and increased trust that all come along with that. Stress reduction and resilience. Mindful leaders manage stress more effectively, both for themselves and in their awareness of the stress that their teams experience. Their resilience is enhanced so that they can bounce back from challenges with more agility and mental clarity. Next one, Maya, enhanced focus and productivity. Mindfulness, as I said, is about attention and concentration. So what would you give to be more focused and avoid and control distractions in your day-to-day? This translates into better productivity and an ability to handle more complex projects. Creativity and innovation, the non-judgmental and open mindset fostered by mindfulness practices allow leaders to think more creatively, generate new ideas, and look at challenges from other perspectives. I'm sure you're starting to hear the impact here, not just on the leader, but what they can bring to their team as well. And there's a whole host of other benefits that we won't go into detail on, but leaders who are mindful are resonant leaders or emotionally impactful leaders. They have increased well-being. They have fewer conflicts with others. They're better at inclusivity. They cultivate a positive organizational culture. So these benefits of mindful leadership also extend to the employee experience then through leaders modeling mindful behaviors, fostering and building better workplaces where people are invited and engaged and supported to do their best and do their best, be their best and do their best work. And that is the work that I love to support in my leadership coaching and in the HR consulting work that I do. Helping leaders show up as their best selves and modeling that way of being for their teams is just such a privilege. Okay, we can go on to the next slide, except I have to catch up with the clicks here. Hold on. All right, so if you're willing, join me and we'll spend 3 minutes on mindfulness right now. Okay, plant your feet on the ground. I invite you to. And just kind of get comfortable in your chair. Maybe you can stretch your neck a little bit. Mindfulness is a variety of practices, so there's a whole menu of ways that you can be more mindful or practice mindfulness, and it can go from anywhere from 30 seconds to hours in length. It can be as much, paying attention to your senses in the moment, or it can be just paying attention to your breathing, paying attention to where your body is or how you feel. So I invite you to try one mindful practice with me right now. All right, so this one is called 3-minute breathing space, and it has 3 parts. The first minute is awareness, the second is breathing, and the third is expansion of our attention. So you can be sitting for this, standing. If you have a space to lie down, you're welcome to do so. It's a simple exercise, and you can do it anywhere, anytime, pretty much. All right, so I invite you to get your body comfortable. Close your eyes if you wish. Take a nice deep breath in, and just let it out with a whoosh. We're going to do that 2 more times. And 1 more time. And ask yourself on that exhale, how am I doing right now? Focus on your inner perception. Notice what you are experiencing, feeling. Try to name it. For example, what are you feeling in your body? Can you feel cool air or warm air around you? Do you feel some tension? What's your mind doing right now? Are you planning for the next thing? Are you anxious or do you feel peaceful and contented? Just allow yourself to feel what you're feeling in this current moment. Happy, impatient, frustrated, whatever it is, we can just accept it. It's perfectly okay. Whatever is there is fine, just the way it is. You don't have to do anything with it. All right, next, focus your full attention on your breathing. Just breathing normally, in and out. And what is the quality of that breath? Is it light and shallow? Is it deep? Somewhere in between? Okay, and next, let's allow our attention to expand to the rest of our bodies. Feel how your breath moves in through your nostrils, out through your mouth, down through your chest and your belly. And with every inhale, you can feel your body expand a bit. And with every exhale, contract a little bit. How does it feel? And I'll say during this type of exercise, certain thoughts or feelings might distract your attention. Simply notice them. You can decide to observe these thoughts or feelings for a while and then return to your breath or return to your body. You can just let them go. Just notice them, okay, and let them go. And that's it. I invite you back. That's what we're talking about here, the practices like this one that build calm, focus our attention, make us aware of our bodies and our minds and our emotions. What I hope you're feeling right now through your body is a reduction in stress hormones and an increase in happiness hormones. Your brain just experienced a little reboot, similar to what occurs on a deeper level when we sleep. When we integrate mindful practices like this into our daily routines, this little commitment to ourselves can turn into lasting physical, mental, and emotional benefits. Small practices, repeated daily over time, help us hone our attentional muscles and focus on what is important and meaningful so that we can be present, mindful leaders. Better humans, better leaders. All right, thank you. I'm grateful for your time and attention today, pun intended. Reach out if you have any questions about how you or your team members can become more mindful leaders. Thanks, Maja.
All right. Well, that was a really nice presentation, Margaret. And thank you for that exercise. I love grounding, so I really felt that. All right, so on to the next presenter. Kirsten will be talking to us about leveraging AI for small business. Take it away, Kirsten.
Thanks, Maja, and thank you, Margaret. I am now very focused and mindful about what I'm doing now. Thank you again. Hello, everyone. I'm Kirsten Boileau. I am a learning and development consultant with H2R and happy to share some experiences that I have had with AI. Before we get started, I do have a little quiz for you. Want to know what what you think of these kind of fun facts about AI. So, and if you could put your answers into the chat as I put the questions up here. So, first question is, when was the first example of artificial intelligence in use? Was it 10 years ago, 35 years ago, 70 years ago, or 20 years ago? What do you think? 70, 20, 35, 70, 20, 35. They're in the same order. That's kind of funny. 35, 35, 35, lots of 35 years ago. Yeah, it was actually 70 years ago. So those of you who answered 70, it is 70 years ago. It was in 1954. There was a chess game that was played a human and the computer played chess together. So that was the first example of AI in use. Next question is, weak AI is a term used to describe AI tools that resemble human cognition. Is that true or false? False, lots of false, yeah. See if anybody else answers. False, false. Okay. It's actually true. Weak AI is a term used to describe AI tools that resemble human cognition. It's because our ability to actually deliver that same kind of information is not on the same level as an AI tool. And then number 3 is what kinds of things can AI do for small businesses? Predict customer preferences and trends from social media activity, answer 1 million phone calls at one time, monitor energy usage to reduce utility costs, or all of the above. What do you think? Lots of D's. Yes, yes. A and C. Yep, yep. D. The answer is, in fact, D, all of the above. Yes. And for somebody who said A and C, AI can actually answer 1 million phone calls at one time. It is the potential for AI is absolutely stunning. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the history of AI, and then we're going to go into how some small businesses are currently using it. And then we're going to spend a little bit of time showing you a few different tools that I have personally had some use with, some experience with. So artificial intelligence essentially refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines. They're programmed to think like humans and mimic their actions, and it uses experience and natural language processing, which allows to understand and respond to that human language. A brief history of AI is that in the 1940s and 1950s, the groundwork was laid with lots of mathematicians and philosophers thinking through that process and wondering, is it possible for machines and humans to actually interact, to actually have that conversation? And then in 1956 was the Dartmouth Conference, and this is actually considered like the birthplace of the term artificial intelligence. It's where a number of different mathematicians came together, and they actually delivered on the topic of artificial intelligence. And there was all kinds of great, people were investing in artificial intelligence and thinking and having that, thinking through what that could actually look like. But in the 1970s through the 1990s, it's called the AI winters. There was a lot of decreased investment because the programming capabilities and were just not, and the computational capabilities were just not available with the hardware technology. And so it was kind of, they de-invested in AI because it just wasn't capable of doing what we could do, or wasn't available to be able to do what we wanted to do with it. And then, of course, we came to the 2000s and there was the rise of machine learning. I remember 10 years ago, I was at a conference in San Diego. I was working with SAP at the time, and we were talking about machine learning, and we were talking about smart refrigerators and how they could, keep track of the ingredients in your fridge and let you know when you needed to add something to your list, your grocery list. And so, yes, now we're seeing, in the last couple of years, I mean, AI is present through lots of different things that we've been using on a daily basis for many, many years. However, with the rise of ChatGPT about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, that it kind of exploded the world of AI for everybody. For small businesses, there's this technology adoption curve is something that has been around for a long time, and it highlights when people or when businesses actually adopt technology into their everyday practices. And generally, in the past, small businesses have been in that late majority or laggard side because they haven't had the resources to invest, they haven't had the need to invest. But I really think that AI presents a really unique opportunity for small businesses to adopt and be part of that early majority when it comes to importing or utilizing AI in their business. There's a lot of different advantages to being part of that early majority. One is you can get in when things are a little bit less expensive, and two, you have the opportunity to really shape how things are then created or how they change over time. A lot of what I'm going to show you today is around or is out of a white paper called the Hampton Group. So there's a lot of significant opportunities for small businesses: cost efficiency, automating routine tasks, enhanced customer experience with chatbots and personalized marketing, data-driven decisions. You can analyze large volumes of data to really provide those actionable insights, which has always been a little bit more difficult for small businesses because you've got data coming from a lot of different sources. And it gives you that competitive edge by leveling the playing field with larger competitors who are investing in AI and investing heavily in AI. You can start to level that playing field a little bit by small businesses taking advantage. So again, I'm pulling a lot of this data out of the Hampton Group 2024 AI Founder Report, and they surveyed 100 founders of small businesses, and they asked them, which ones of these small businesses are actually using AI now? And as you can see, right from agencies all the way down to media and consulting, automotive and transportation, food and beverage, all the way down to construction and entertainment are utilizing AI. So there's a huge segment of our population and our businesses that are actually utilizing AI right now. And so it's not just for, a few small, agencies or the software companies that are utilizing it. One of the concerns that many small businesses have is, what is the impact on staff? And again, this is one of the questions that was posed to this group of founders. And 59% said they had no impact on their staff. It didn't change, the number of people that they hired. It didn't change, they weren't laying off people because of using AI. 16% said they had some downsizing, but that's not a huge percentage. Much more had no impact. 16% actually said they had more output, so they were slower to hire due to increased productivity, or they reorganized for efficiency. But again, it wasn't that they weren't hiring, it was that they were slower to hire because they had higher productivity, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And 4% had so much productivity that they actually had to increase their hiring due to growth. So I've just got a few tools that I want to share with you. Again, this screenshot here, in the beige, it actually came out of that Hampton Group report. It's a listing of all of the different tools that some of these businesses were using, and in the various areas of the business. So project management, or meetings and scheduling, sales and marketing, content creation. It gives you, wanted to share this with you to show you that there's not, it's not just ChatGPT that's being used. AI is widely used across many areas of the small businesses. There's a few different ones down here that I personally either weren't listed above or I have experience with, like Fireflies is a meeting scheduling tool and meeting summary tool that it sends you a transcript and a summary and action items after you've completed your meeting. Motion, I'm going to show you. Zapier, I'm going to show you. So just wanted to show you that there's a wide variety of tools that are being used in a lot of different places within a small business. All right, so everybody knows about ChatGPT, so I'm going to touch on it briefly. You can use it for idea generation, and I used it this morning actually to get some ideas for a subject line for my my next email that I'm going to send out from my business. You can use it for proofreading, and I don't mean proofreading in the way of like spelling and grammar. It's more around, is this the right tone for my audience? I have a tendency to write in a very professional, like maybe formal manner, but I sometimes have to write things that are for an elementary school parent audience. And so I want it to sound a little bit more fun and engaging. And so I can put my email into ChatGPT, and it comes out and tell it what I want it to sound more fun, and it comes out with a whole different thing, and it is really, really cool, but getting that same message across. You can use it for generating sample data. So if you're perhaps in a software company that is trying to demo your tool or your product, but you need sample data to be able to do that, you can ask ChatGPT to create a CSV of 25 sample records with the following columns, as you can see here in the picture. And then when you actually hit click on it and ask it to do it, you get this listing of all of these, all of the sample data, and you can copy the code, pop it into Excel, and you have your sample data ready to go. A couple of tips would be to use natural language, so making sure that you're not being too formal, just like you were talking to your friend or to a colleague. Be precise in what you're asking for. Don't be afraid to add too many details. Use a text editor for formatting. So if you want to add in a bunch of bullet points, do it in Word first and then copy and paste into ChatGPT. Don't rely on it for facts. I think we've all experienced that or have all heard that. The facts can kind of get a little bit muddled. So, making sure you're fact checking anything that comes out. Be cautious of entering sensitive data, and don't use the exact verbiage that comes out of it, and get creative. You can use it in lots and lots of different ways. I did want to highlight that ChatGPT is not the only generative AI tool on the market. There is also Claude from, I forget what company, but there's Claude and Meta. Just this morning, actually, really, I saw an article about a new release from Meta called Llama. Where they come up with these names, I don't know. And this article actually stated that ChatGPT and Claude were on the same, Llama was actually on the same level as ChatGPT and Claude, with the added feature that it is actually open source, which means that anyone can use it to build and see the code that's in behind it, which is a really great option. Next tool is Motion. So this is one of those things that's more like a scheduling task completion tool. And Motion is an AI scheduling management tool based on tasks and priorities. So what you do is in the morning or the beginning of your week, you set up all of the tasks that you want to complete for that day or that week, and then you can prioritize them, and Motion will reschedule things or schedule things in your week, but it'll also reschedule things for you if a meeting comes up or you have to leave the office for whatever reason. It will reschedule things based on your priorities. It's actually marketed as a tool for those with ADHD, so if that's a factor in your decision making, it maybe is something to check out. Set up recurring tasks. If you've got something that you want to make sure gets done, all the time or every day, like checking your email or whatever, that you want to set a specific time aside for, use the tool to set up those recurring tasks for yourself. Connecting all of your calendars to Motion is also something really important. I connected my business calendars, but neglected to connect in my personal calendar, and then I was missing like kids' appointments and all that kind of stuff. So where they were, getting scheduled over top of. So it's really important to make sure you connect all of your calendars in. And always prioritize using, is it important but not a priority? or not urgent, keeping those kinds of things in mind and really making sure you're really attributing the right prioritization to your tool or to your task. Next one is Scribe. This one is a process documentation tool. And what it does is it follows your process on your screen. So if you're perhaps in a, I used it for a bookkeeping company. Their senior bookkeepers were saying that they were constantly having to repeat themselves and repeat the process for a specific process that needed to be done by the junior bookkeepers. And so what I had them do was to go through the process once with Scribe on, and it tracked every movement of the mouse through the process, took screenshots and added text in between to tell what the process was, and then it's one and done, and you don't have to share that. You don't have to spend time sharing that again, and it can be very easily updated throughout as things change. It increases employee productivity and efficiency, and it's can be used in customer support, in HR, learning and development, operations, sales enablement, anywhere you want to document a process so that you don't have to tell people over and over again. You don't want to take a whole bunch of screenshots and have to add that text into yourself. It's just a really easy way. It is also a free extension on your Chrome, and I would make sure you plan your screen capture. So, don't try and do the process if you don't remember it exactly. Make sure you plan it out, and then it will be a lot easier to capture that process. And again, it's a free Chrome extension. And this is what it looks like. So I was in Sales Navigator in LinkedIn, and I wanted people to know how to get to Sales Navigator. You click on the Sales Navigator icon in the top right corner. This text came up when I went through the process, and the highlight over the Sales Navigator button was there, and it took this screenshot as well. Synthesia is an AI voiceover tool, and it creates great videos. I'm going to start going a little bit quickly here because I know I'm getting close to time. It does voiceover, it has avatars. The avatars can be placed into all kinds of different places on the video, whether right in front or off in the corner. A few tips are to make sure you include pauses in your text or your script, and making sure that you are very clear about the diction you want it to be used with that text, and also making sure you include triggers so that the next right screenshot shows up or whatever it might be. And you can use it for tutorials as well. This is a quick view of what, so this one was one that I didn't really like because the AI avatar doesn't look as real as another one that I'm going to show you in just a second, and her mouth doesn't quite move properly with the and you might not be able to hear the voiceover. And this is the next one. And it's too bad you can't hear the voice. But she just moves that much more naturally, and it is an AI avatar, but she just moves that much more naturally in the session or in the video. Last one I'm going to show you here is Zapier. It's a workflow automation connecting different applications, and so there's over 7,000 different applications that you can connect together. As a small business, I personally use it. I use SurveyMonkey to collect subscriptions for my newsletter, and then but I have ActiveCampaign as my email automation tool. And instead of having to download new subscriptions out of SurveyMonkey, copy and paste them into ActiveCampaign and keep that all updated, what I did was I actually created a connection between SurveyMonkey and ActiveCampaign with this tool called Zapier, and it just automatically does that. It updates those connections for me. There's lots of low-code and no-code options, and you can use the tutorials to spark new ideas as to what different things you could connect together. And this is just an example of, or a screenshot of what I've put together, the SurveyMonkey and the ActiveCampaign coming together. And that's it for me. I'll pass it back to you, Maja.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing those useful tools. I'll make sure to check them out. And now on to Jackie, HR Sin Eaters. Take it away, Jackie.
Hello, gang. Just making sure you can hear me first. We're good?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Can't see your faces, so all right. I know I always talk quickly with a lot of energy, but I'm going to amp it up just a level, only because we're a little bit behind time, and this stuff isn't rocket science. So let's move forward. All right, so I am talking about the sin eaters, and HR, we're sin eaters. The term comes from Scottish folklore, which is my heritage. And I don't know if you've heard the term before, but the sin eater is the person that will consume the ritual meal of the person that has passed in order to spiritually absorb the sins of the deceased person. So the idea is the food is believed to absorb the sins and thus absolving the soul of any evil, so they can go to the right place. It's a form of ritual in Scottish folklore. And go to the next slide. It just made me think a lot about our work as HR professionals and the work that we do. And so the analogies or the metaphors that I'm going to share with you are things like we're absolving and absorbing, and resolving is the language. I'm kind of speaking so fast I can't even keep up with my tongue. When we're sitting in that kind of conflict, we're observing people's emotions all of the time, positive or negative. We're feeling the tensions. We're the observer and the absorbers and the facilitators, right? When we're handling employee issues and concerns, we're often dealing with things like grievances and disputes and complaints. And so it's our place to be professional, to sit in a space to hold for those that we're leading and we're facilitating, so we can help them move forward through those moments. We have to maintain confidentiality, and sometimes that's difficult when we have our own things going on in the workplace with our own people, but we have to protect the privacy of those that we're serving, and that's often difficult, especially when we're dealing with sensitive employee matters or when we have something that's relevant to something that we're going through. We've got to promote organizational health, and so what that means sometimes is that we have to put our stuff aside, observe the bigger picture, call out the things that are challenging. In order to manage the organizational culture, we have to hold space for the negativity, but also to continually to what's positive and productive. So that's just a few of my simple examples. Anything that I've missed? Moving to the next slide. Is there anything I've missed that are scenarios where you feel like, yes, this is a heavy load that we often bear as HR professionals? So if you think of a couple examples or scenarios, put them in the chat so your colleagues will understand and share and feel seen and heard and understood. All right, next one. I told you I was going to go fast. For me, this is about emotional labor. And I don't know about you, but that term really came to the forefront during the pandemic for people like us who were really finally understood and seen, and if I may, finally valued in a different way that we deserve. So emotional labor was first coined in the book, The Managed Heart. And so what she talked about, defined emotional labor, is that regulating or managing our emotional expressions with others as part of our job, right? And so examples would be a flight attendant. Listen, for all of us who've been in any form of customer service, there are moments of time where we smile and nod. It's like, I understand. And inside it's like, I want to punch you in the face. We've customer service, HR, flight attendants, and so on. There's moments in time, even in our human life, when we are, mothers, daughters, sisters, brothers, partners, husbands, whatever, there's moments where we will proactively put aside our emotions just to be in the moment for others' emotions. It means we amp up the feelings, but we also will suppress feelings as well. Sometimes we're evoking emotion. It could be negative or positive emotion, and sometimes it's not that. That's what we're calling emotional labor. Next slide. I love some of these definitions. So Kirsten was the one in the New York Times that really got noticed during the pandemic when she talked about the duties that are expected of you that go unnoticed, particularly women in jobs where we're holding and lifting up have the emotional burden of the emotional labor. Expected of you, but go unnoticed, and often noticed and underpaid, or not seen as valuable or worthy of being paid. So I feel like that's something that most of us can relate to. It's that free, invisible work that typically women do. Don't get me wrong. We all know beautiful men who do the same thing. So I want to be careful. I acknowledge that because we all know those humans exist out there. I can name 10 of them on my hands in HR right now that I think are just phenomenal. So that's where I'm drawing the link. The emotional labor, the heavy burden that we wear or we bear, to me is equivalent to that of the sin eater in Scottish folklore. So next slide, please. So the toll, right? This is about that heavy burden that we wear in the role of HR, that emotional toll that we take home with us at the end of every day. So I just added, share in the chat any examples of the toll or the impact that you can sometimes carry in your work. And I know I was on vacation last week. Something came up with a client and it was heavy for the client. So it was heavy for me. And it took time for both the client and for me to figure out how do we navigate the emotions and still end our day, and go home to the people we love. And we're not carrying the weight of that burden of those emotions. It's hard to do. So next slide. So let me give you a couple of just quick tips on how do we do that. First of all, next slide, is let's make sure we're setting boundaries. Make sure you have really clear, and please don't be afraid to put your stuff in the chat because you're all going to have better ideas than me for each other. So setting boundaries, make sure you've got good work-life balance. You're fiercely protecting that time. Set times for not checking email. I know that, I've been in business 24 years, but I only got good at this since the pandemic. So if I'm being really honest with you, that's when I really noticed for the first time in my life burnout. It's kind of like, oh, I think now I need to start following my advice. Protect your vacation time, protect your boundaries. My phone is no longer plugged in my bedroom, for instance, at nighttime, so I can no longer reach and doom scroll, right? Let's make sure we're fiercely protecting that kind of stuff. Boundaries can also include setting boundaries at work. This is my role. Let's make sure we're aligned on what my areas of responsibilities, right? So being really clear, and sometimes conflict will occur when those boundaries aren't set well. All right, let's go to the next slide. Self-care. You'll notice that these all overlap each other. It isn't rocket science. Make sure we've got healthy eating, good sleep, and exercise. Margaret talked about with Mindful Leader, it's like we want to make sure we are decreasing the cortisol and the stress hormones. We want to make sure that we're doing practices and rituals that will allow us to release the happy hormones. We want oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. So make sure you're getting that sleep and the exercise. Make sure you're doing those vacations. Let's practice work-life balance. The other thing I would talk about, and go back a slide if you don't mind for a second to self-care still. Let's make sure you're practicing assertiveness. That's going to help you set boundaries. That's going to help you make sure you're fiercely protecting your wellness. Therapy. Get peer support. Therapy, do the work with the therapist. Peer support, isn't that therapy anyway? We need people who understand where we've been. Nothing better than a glass of wine with a great friend who's not in our workplace to allow us that self-care, to allow us to release the laughing hormones and the happy hormones, right? We all know the expression, wear your oxygen mask first. The same for us in HR. So please, self-care first and make sure it's in your calendar. Now let's move to healthy detachment. I'm going to wrap this up quickly. Detachment for me is critical. I think about whether we're a leader, whether I'm a mother, whether it's I've got my coach hat on or I'm in HR. It's best described as that process of kind of letting go. It allows you to release the difficult situations or sometimes difficult people by detaching from the past or even future expectations. This is why I fiercely believe in mindfulness. So I love that Margaret was here today. I believe we cannot coach, lead, mentor, parent well unless we're actually present and living in the moment. So if we're doing a healthy detachment, you're very in the moment and you're not bringing your own baggage into conversation. Detachment is not about moving out of the driver's seat. It's about into the passenger seat. You're in flow, you're in the moment with the people you are listening to a grievance or doing a termination. It's about becoming that better observer of yourself and those around you, questioning what's best for everyone and not just sitting in your own head with your own fears and anxieties, but that capacity to kind of observe everybody. I always talk about a conflict I had with my mom at one point about my son, and my mom triggered me like I was an 8-year-old girl and I wanted to fight back. But in that moment, I went, Jackie, you teach this stuff, man. You've got to have a healthy detachment. So I held space for me. And I held space for my mom. Walk me through what's going on. What are your experiences and beliefs about this? How is this impacting you? Made sure I really heard and was present with her. And then I said, now it's my space, Mom. Are you ready to hear what I'm going through? That's an example of what healthy detachment can look like. Try detachment, or what I call transition rituals. So I'm with you sitting on my couch doing this session. When I go to do a coaching session, I have a coaching chair that I sit in. It allows me to move out of the headspace of this. And it's like, I call it my present chair. I'm present with my coaching clients. So be also aware of your unhealthy or healthy narratives, biases, false beliefs. And as Margaret was saying around the mindfulness, your part of mindfulness is about giving you access in the moment about those narratives, biases, belief systems that you have. And are they working for you? So keep practicing living in the moment. Take, Margaret's mindfulness training, peer support, EQ training is a big, I always say none of my clients, they might not pay for EQ or mindfulness, but they're getting it anyway. It's going to be incorporated into everything I do, consciously or unconsciously. And of course, do the work, go to therapy, do your own self-healing. And then the last slide, resources and tools. I'm going to do, you know what I'm going to do? I've got a bunch of them for you. So when we send the slide deck out, I'm going to send a list of some examples. So mindfulness tools like Headspace Calm. You want guided meditations or mindfulness exercises. There's time management tools like Asana and Trello. We want to understand how to set boundaries better, right? So let's make sure we're doing training sessions on assertiveness and finding your own voice, and what's the language that you use that is professional. Professional coaching, so working with a coach that can help HR practitioners develop those strategies for setting boundaries and managing your stress. Employee assistance programs, right? Lots of books and articles. I could keep going, and I don't want to bore you because I'm sure you all have a million ideas, like Fitbit Premium, for example, peer support groups. Let's do physical exercise and wellness programs. I mean, this girl has trouble walking, as many of you know. I have a lot of difficulty with my legs, but I can swim and I have no excuse not to, right? It's my place just for me. So it's a wellness exercise. In a way, it's about resources and tools for me. And it's also about self-care, to say the least, and also vacation time. So I will send that out to you, and then you can continue to add to the list from your perspective. What else could we use? So that we're not the sin eaters carrying the heavy burden and the weight of all of the work that we do. I'll give you one last analogy, and then I'm going to shut up. I often use the analogy of when people come to you with their emotional baggage, think of it as luggage. They throw their luggage at you, their emotional baggage. You catch it. What I want you to do is metaphorically in your head, think of setting the luggage to the side, their emotional baggage. You can open up their luggage with them. You can rummage around in their emotional baggage with them. You can look and observe and see what's happening and help them to solve it. Then you close it up and you hand it back to them. Do not take it home. Do not wear it. It's literally rummage around, close it up, and hand it back. I'm here to help if you need me. All right, HR people, you are the heroes of this universe, to say the least. So make sure you are taking care of yourself. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jackie. Love that. And if any of you are interested in any of the talks you've heard today during our webinar, reach out to us. We can certainly tailor and customize to your company and your audience. So we're here if you're interested in learning more. Now, if we still have 3 minutes, so I'll just do a quick highlight on one of our online courses. I wanted to highlight our cybersecurity course, which is designed to give you information about cyber risk and to identify some tips, tricks, and best practices for recognizing and handling possible cyber attacks in your company. It's approximately 25 minutes long, and the cost is $60 per person. The training goes into detail about the 2 common threats companies experience today, and they're called, you may be familiar with these phrases, phishing and pretexting. Have you ever gotten an email or a text message that says, act now, or this problem requires immediate attention? Well, if you have, chances are you've been a part of a phishing attack. As I have, a while ago, I received a text message from Jill to go and purchase a gift card for one of our clients. And since we incorporated cybersecurity into our onboarding, I was already a little bit skeptical and suspected that this could be a fishy text message. So I always check the from field to ensure it's actually the person that is sending me the message. And in this instance, it wasn't Jill's phone number. So contacted IT department immediately and deleted the message. But I want you to just always take a minute and check that from field. It'll save you sometimes a lot of money. So if you want to learn more about this course, or any of our online courses, or as I mentioned, our talks, reach out to us. There's the contact information there. And then we also do free 15-minute consultations, and we also do free demos of our online learning. So reach out. And now we still have 1 minute left. We are introducing a giveaway. So the course that I just talked about, the cybersecurity course, we will give away one to one of our participants. So I will do a live draw. Give me a second. I will share my screen. Okay. Where'd it go? Here we go. Okay. Can everyone see the spinning wheel? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, here it goes. Cheryl Allen, if you are on the call, can you please raise your hand? And if not, we will continue. Doesn't seem like Cheryl's on the call. Okay, we will go again. Oh, hang on. I just lost my little spinning wheel.
That was a cool spinning wheel, by the way. Never seen that before. That was really creative.
I've never seen that before either. That's awesome.
There you go. All right. Margarita, are you on the call today? Raise your hand.
I am.
Excellent. Yay, well, you're the winner. So I will send you an email with more information and access to our course, cybersecurity. Excellent. All right. So I am going to stop sharing. I am going to thank everyone for joining our webinar in July. Stay tuned for our August date and hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.